David Wiener.
I'm Stuart Schnee.
And we'd like to welcome you. We're two friends. We talk a lot about different topics.
Primarily politics.
Mostly politics. Every now and then other stuff. And we thought, usually we get into very good conversations, very interesting, and we thought we would like to share our thoughts with everybody out there.
But what really led me to think it's a good idea is that I noticed we often talk a lot when we were in shul together at the synagogue, at the end, of course, and we noticed a lot of people sort of leaning in to hear what we're saying. So we thought, let's just share it openly rather than having to have people stick their noses in.
Right.
That's just something I thought.
And it gets me in trouble with my wife sometimes because it takes me a little extra time to get home on a Friday night, for dinner. So I thought it was good to kind of
just tell her it's better to talk about it there than to bring it home and talk about it at home. So, I just also want to mention that originally from the United States. We're both originally from the United States, and here we are on the eve of Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving!
Thanksgiving Sameach to all of you. Happy Thanksgiving! It's a special holiday. We all have a lot of gratitude towards the United States, and here in Israel, it is celebrated by the holiday of Black Friday. That's really a big thing here.
Especially this year with Amazon sending things.
Right. Amazon is shipping for free to Israel, and you just see the capitalism makes people very, very happy. So why don't you share what you wanted to talk about?
We're actually talking about capitalism. I found it very interesting.
Yeah, it's true. Black Friday. Let's just go right from Black Friday into what you were mentioning.
Yeah. So I think it's a very interesting thing happened this week was I think we had a new Democratic candidate throw his hat into the ring.
But as if there wasn't enough, Michael Bloomberg decided to. I mean, he'd been threatening for a while, and I guess things just seem right for him. Maybe there's been rumors. It doesn't seem to be coming true. Joe Biden's crashing, and people don't like Elizabeth Warren, or whatever. So he thought it's his time, and he threw the towel in a good way, right? I mean, he threw his hat in, I guess is what you say, and he's running.
Yeah.
And he kicked it off with a $31 million ad.
Ad buy all over the like Iowa and all those the first initial states with
I wish I was running that ad agency. Seriously, I mean that would be.
Yeah.
But it is. I don't know if it's a big thing. I guess we'll know in a year or so if it's a big deal or not. I mean, he could just crash and burn. I mean,
right. So far, I think I saw he had like 2% of the votes. Like 2% in the polling is what he was getting, which isn't too bad when you have like 18 people in there.
But I think that the main thing that you brought up, which really I thought was interesting, is that it's a little bit interesting being in Israel that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been he's going to be indicted. It's been announced by the Attorney General that he's going to be indicted. He's not been indicted yet. And one of the charges,
3 different things,
right? But one of them is a charge that's I'm not a legal expert, and but basically it has to do with trying to get positive media coverage by giving favors, or so the accusation is stands that Netanyahu did that by meeting with the editor of a very popular paper that really bashed Netanyahu day and night, and his wife
constantly.
Right, and in fact, a lot of people say that gets the Likud more votes. So I don't know what Netanyahu, why he would try to go for more positive media, but that's for another time. But basically, the idea was that he would try to get this other paper out of the market, or like at least maybe not shut them down, but quiet them down, publish less, print less papers, and then because they're free. And then if there's less papers out there for free being given out at train stations and whatever, so then this other paper, Yediot Ahronoth, which is big in Israel, would get more business, and they would pay Bibi back. Netanyahu would gain from positive media coverage. A lot of people say that this is a very flimsy charge. I mean, first of all, it never happened. He's still getting bashed like forever, right? And
right, I think that one of the interesting things about it is I think what kind of parallels with the U.S. politics is that in Israel, very similar to the U.S., the actual media tends to be more in favor of the left-leaning parties.
Well, I don't know,
center left.
I don't know, if you ask a lot of people on the left, they'll say that that's not true. They say, the New York Times, why do they go against Sanders? But what I think is interesting, well, this is what I thought you were getting at, was that Bloomberg has announced, I mean, the newspaper, the news, whatever you conglomerate, that they will not be investigating their boss, their owner. Which, I mean, makes sense if you think about it. If I own something, I wouldn't expect you to come and investigate me. And they won't be investigating other Democratic candidates, but they will continue to investigate Trump. Now, I think there's nothing wrong with investigating the president. Go for it. Actually, it's a very important thing. But to me, it seems very strange that nobody's like, I didn't hear anybody. I mean, The Guardian today questioned. They said, this is a problem of a multimillionaire owning a media empire. But I mean, I don't know how many Americans are reading Bloomberg on a daily basis.
The average example, for instance, you have Bezos, who I think purchased the
Washington Post. But he's not running for president. But I think, but so I mean, maybe it's a little bit of like a red flag to other media outlets, like look at Michael Bloomberg. I don't know how much they'll find. He strikes me as a very,
but again, seems like a straight guy. But
right,
because they won't investigate his family either. So you never know.
Right. Whereas Trump. You get the sense that, Trump, sort of invites it, because he's such a, let's say, colorful personality. So, right. So, but I think it's really bizarre. I mean, I'm not saying there should be laws against it, but I do think it's a very, very interesting, because in Israel, it's like an ongoing place. They say that because they're upset and they're frustrated, but ultimately, day-to-day life, for most people in the United States, like, I don't know if it's really changed. People are angry, they're frustrated, but if you turn off the news, right, just ignored it, went around, but a lot of people don't ignore the news. But getting back to Michael Bloomberg, I mean, New York seemed to be functioning quite well when he was the mayor.
Yeah, I think crime was decreased under him.
And Giuliani gets a lot of credit, even though he's like becoming like the name that shall not be mentioned. And for he's also going off, like they're all like a little nutty these days. But the fact is, New York is really changing right now. You sense it, you feel it. If you live there in the 80s, when I visit New York now, it feels like it's going backwards. And New Yorkers who are, it's a pretty liberal city, are really angry at the mayor. He's like super liberal. So you see that, it doesn't blind people, his politics.
Right, I think Bloomberg, he'll kind of sway back and forth. He never has really a place.
He was more of he's a capitalist, to say the least, and he's very centrist. I think he's into competence.
Right, so I think with him it's more like he's fiscally conservative.
And I also think compared to President Trump, I think he probably feels, he comes off as more presidential. I mean, there's a lot of people who like.
Well, you didn't see the video. He was sitting there when he was announcing. He was sitting there and basically it looked like he just came back from a run in the streets or something like that. It didn't look too presidential.
Okay, but
when he's on stage,
I get a sense he probably won't be waking up in the middle of the night tweeting. But people like that. It seems clear that some people like it. But the bottom line for me is that
like the honesty,
or apparent
honesty,
right,
straightforwardness,
right. Okay, I hear that.
Lack of tact,
Look, that would be an understatement. But I think even if Michael Bloomberg was here, our guest, and you're welcome to come, Mr. Bloomberg, we'd love to have you. I would ask him straight out: do you think it's fair that you? I mean, it should be. I don't know what he should do. Just like maybe people had asked. Of course, I don't know if it's really happened. That the Trump family should sort of step away from certain businesses, and there's apparently been efforts made to do that, but they haven't really done it. That's what I've read. But let's just say they did. Shouldn't maybe Mr. Bloomberg move away? And even though he owns it, maybe he should put it in a trust or something, so that they can. What if they found out something really bad about Bloomberg, which I hope they don't, because why wish that on someone? And they're not going to report on it. That's crazy. And what if he becomes president? And what if the economy tanks? God forbid. They're not going to report it. It'll be like North Korea. People are starving, and they're like, the 5-year plan wheat production has gone up. Meanwhile, there's people starving. So I think
what I find interesting about it is though. So he's not going to. He says he doesn't want them to investigate anybody, right?
Of the Democratic side, right?
But I'm sure once he gets into the fray, he's going to start attacking.
Well, he has to, and it's really interesting.
They are investigating. He has people investigating. It's not that he doesn't have the information.
Well, that's the problem with primaries. I mean, you see this now, like Cory Booker attacking this one, or
They're all doing. Buttigieg right now is getting attacked like crazy. Because
Right. Well, because it's funny how that happens. You start to, you see them going up in polls. He was going up in polls in Iowa.
A lot in Iowa.
Right. The problem is, he doesn't, I don't think, have a chance because he doesn't seem to be exciting African American voters. And African American voters are very key to success of anybody.
Especially in the South.
Right. Well, not only the South.
New Hampshire I used to live in New Hampshire, and it was just, it was totally just white country.
Well, it is white, even when it isn't snowing.
Yeah.
But New Hampshire doesn't count. It's like this, I don't know. Yeah. But you see, for example, South Carolina is like a bellwether, South Carolina, bellwether state in many ways for South Carolina. I think Obama won there, and that was very key. The Clintons were shocked. I don't think it's so shocking, but African American voters are a huge part of Democrats' success, and so Pete is not doing so well. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is doing very well. And actually, I read an interesting piece about Bernie Sanders doing very well with young African American voters, just like he's doing very well with young Caucasian voters. So the issue here is young rather than white or black, and so we'll see. But anyway, I think that's all I want to say is just I think that consistency. I don't think people need to support President Trump to criticize Mike Bloomberg. And I don't even know if it was Bloomberg's decision or his editor-in-chief decision, but I bet you.
It could be a conflict. It seems to me like a huge conflict.
Major conflict of interest. But I guess when you're running for office, you can do whatever you want. It's only when you finally become hired by the American people, then so anyway.
That's a good question, though, because here you have a case in Israel where I guess the Prime Minister Netanyahu was already Prime Minister when this meeting happened between him and the chief editor of the newspaper. Versus here, where he's kind of controls the newspaper, he gets to tell them what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do.
So it's something to consider if someone really likes my
corruption.
Well, if it ain't corruption, Netanyahu ought to be bringing this example into the court. And
sure.
All right, so I guess maybe we can say this was our. We will say this is our first episode, and we hope to be back with you pretty soon. We'll try to make this as regular as possible, and we wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. I know that it's really my favorite American holiday.
Good food, family.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. It's the busiest traveling day in the United States. More people travel on Thanksgiving than on any other holiday in the United States, which I think is amazing. And it's especially those of us from the East Coast, Northeast. It's crisp, it's cold, there's leaves out. Not the colored, they've already fallen, the colored leaves.
And a lot of good shopping.
Black Friday. I know it's become a big thing now to stay open on, what we call, Jewish people would call Motzei Thanksgiving. I actually went to Macy's 2 or 3 years ago on a Thursday night, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe that they opened. And being in New Jersey, I think there were certain parts of the store that were, like in New Jersey where I grew up, they have blue laws. You can't buy clothes on Sunday, so I don't know. I don't think they opened the full Macy's, which, But I felt bad for the people working. But I read an interesting piece in the New York Times this week about people love to bash people for running on Black Friday to shop, but it's a very helpful day for a lot of people. First of all, a lot of people make extra money by working. And second of all, not everybody has off other times to go shopping. And actually, getting things on sale is very helpful to them for their holiday gift giving. So
and also helps the companies. I think local businesses.
Right, but we're talking Walmart, which with all due respect, I'm not so.
Walmart.
I have nothing
against local
Walmart,
businesses. If they also, if people actually go in and they have this day where they're going out and buying stuff and everything like that.
Right. But there's this kind of virtue signaling of we should all be at home on Thanksgiving. And just I don't know what, but we shouldn't be shopping. But for a lot of Americans, shopping on Motzei Thanksgiving and on the next day, which is Black Friday, is actually something that really enables them to give nice gifts to their family. So thanks very much for joining us. Who knows, maybe by the next time we'll speak, there'll be more developments on this Bloomberg thing. Let's keep our eyes on it. I find it very disturbing, even though I like the guy. And there's no Joe Biden. But in the Democratic side of things, there's nobody too exciting.
I think he basically falls probably in the top 5.
Bloomberg? Yeah, I think once people get to hear him and know him, and the fact is he has a very serious background. I do think though that politics is
And
an
he has
art.
the money to back him. You have a billion, you have a billionaire versus a billionaire, which is
We will be selling ad space to Bloomberg if he's interested, and we won't criticize him if he buys at the premium package.
Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much.
Thank you, and please comment anything you have to say. If you have any topics that you think
We won't
would
be doing
interesting.
investigations on ourselves, and no criticism will be accepted. But feel
Right,
free
but
to comment.
if you want to hear our opinions on politics going on here in Israel, politics going on in the U.S. as people that we still vote in the U.S. We still pay taxes in the U.S.
We definitely pay taxes. That's a whole other thing.
Right.
Any American who lives abroad can tell you that we're almost treated like criminals by the IRS. It's ridiculous. But that is not for now. So thanks. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.